Let's see what happens. Excellent connection. Looks like it's working. You on the are you on the page right now, Q?
Am I on what?
The YouTube.
No.
Since it's been a while, let's log on. If you can log on to YouTube and see if you could see us and hear us.
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
Oh, you can capture moments here too. So I just hit the save button or the clip button. Interesting. Create highlight video and stream marker. I didn't know you could do that on YouTube. I know you can do it on Twitch. So what's up?
I'm going to it now. Talk.
Mic check. Can you hear me? Mic check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you talk.
Can you hear
It's
yourself
a little
talking?
behind. It's a little behind us, but yeah, I can hear it.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I can hear back of us.
Okay, cool. I'm going to cut to black, and then from there we'll know this is begin. So I'm going to cut to black real quick. You'll see a black screen on the podcast. It should go black in a second. All right, and it just went black on my screen. So
It's black.
ready? And 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Objective Podcast. I'm Jimmy. This is Q, and we got football to talk about. Week 2 for the NFL, and a number of games happened throughout the course of the last few days. And week 2 just wrapped up with the Eagles going against the Falcons. So we could talk about that right now, Q, or we could talk about a bunch of things to talk about. Actually, a bunch of things. But let's talk about the most recent game that just happened: the Eagles versus the Falcons, and that one ended unexpected. I'd say really, really unexpected. Everyone thought the Eagles were gonna come out punching and just doing what they did the previous week, just dominating. But the Falcons come out on top. They came out on top with a last second interception, and I don't know if the Falcons are here or the Eagles are not here yet, and they're still in a couple years ago when they were reigning supreme in the NFC.
I feel like both teams are here because the Eagles came out and they almost took that game over. It was it was that Saquon Barkley catch at the end of the game when he dropped it. He definitely dropped it in. I feel like a lot of it came through
I watched as much as the game I could watch. Honestly, the game was interesting. The last second was very interesting. The last couple plays was very interesting. I thought that the Eagles had it at one point. They were up 15. They were up. I think the Falcons had 15 points. The Eagles had 21. I think the score was. Uh, I went to go do the dishes. I turn around, then the Falcons are back on top, and I'm like, man, what's going on with football? Like the teams that are supposed to just be dominating, especially beating the easier teams, they're not beating them. And we talked about this earlier before we got on air. We talked about the fact that it's still early on in the season. People have developed new player personnel. They have developed new schemes. They have developed just new concepts to beat the teams that have been on top for the last couple years. And what we're seeing right now, very early in this week two of the NFL season, is that the old teams, the good teams of last year and the year before, and the teams that have been good for quite some time, they're not ready for what the bad teams have developed in the offseason. And so it's going to take some time for those teams to get some footage on tape, figure out what they like to do, and then eventually come up with counter schemes to stop them from doing what they're doing right now early on in this NFL season. But yeah, I want to talk about like how much of it is the fact that AJ Brown, he's out, right? I don't. He didn't play today, right? So, how much of it is the fact that the Eagles they weren't at full strength, and so they had to sort of figure out some things early on and trying to make it work. They almost won, but they were out. AJ Brown is a stud himself, so it's hard to remiss the fact that he was ruled out, and so that could be part of it. That could be part of it, right?
AJ Brown is a big part, is a big factor.
True enough. True enough. And if you're just joining us right now, we're talking about the game that just ended. It was the Eagles versus the Falcons, where the Falcons defeated the Eagles 21-22 in the last couple minutes of the game. Kirk Cousins, 1 minute 39 seconds. He drove 70 yards and found Drake London for a game tying touchdown, and the kicker Young Ho Koo ended the game with a game winning extra point. The Eagles had a chance to win it, but Jalen Hurts threw an interception. Fly Eagles fly to the opposing team, to the Dirty Birds. I love the fact that they did the Dirty Bird dance at the end. I remember the Jamal Anderson days. He was one of my favorite running backs back in the gap, and I love that they picked it off and they went to the end zone and they strutted the Dirty Bird, the Dirty Bird. I love that. That was pretty cool. But you talked about something in your last little spiel. You talked about just these teams, and I won't let you go away and get away that easy with that. Talking about teams that weren't not that great last year that are better this year, and one team in particular is the New Orleans Saints. They beat the dog crap out of y'all. I'm not lying, bro. I mean, bro, I have not seen the Saints play that well in such a long time. I had to bust out one of my Saints shirts today for the stream because that was worthy of a who dat, and the who dat was not the Cowboys because y'all didn't. I'm not sure y'all were even on the field with them most of the time. Um, I want to know. I want to know. I didn't talk too much to you about it. I want to know what you think about the game. Like, what was the problem? What happened? Because I'm all ears, man. Like, tell me.
And you see,
Tell me.
I'm one of those.
See, that's the thing, though. That's the thing with the Saints. They have a pretty good specialty in Kamara. You know how I feel about Kamara. Man, I'm a 49ers fan, but at the same time, I told you before, and I might sound like an idiot, but what Christian McCaffrey hurt, I might sound like a genius. I will take Alvin over him. He is just that dominant he can do so much. He can do everything that Christian McCaffrey can do. he's been injured. So has McCaffrey been injured. He has an elite offensive minded head coach. Uh, Finally, Alvin Kamara. Kamara has elite OC now who came from the 49ers. So, again, that dude is a monster. The best balance I've ever seen in a running back. The Saints came out and they just rode his back. They rode his back in the run game, rode his back in the pass game. Derek Carr has a safety valve in him. 4 touchdowns on the day, a very dominating victory, 44-19. I can't believe y'all didn't bust out 21 points, man. Come on now. Y'all should at least touch 21. Come on, man. Come on, man.
We got to the red zone and could not score. We was going.
I say that's not pound for pound. That's like that's not pound for pound. So my question to you is this then. My question is this. If you look at what happened, I love the fact that you all controlled the clock. You just didn't punch in into the end zone, but at the same time, the Saints they were very explosive. 9 plays, 3 plays, 6 plays. The Cowboys 16 plays, 15 plays. So it took you twice, sometimes 3 times as long, but to put up only 3 points, right? But in this game, when you have a team that has such an explosive offensive threat, you want to keep the ball away from them. And I think you all tried to keep the ball away from them for the most part. And we're talking like Saints scoring in 4 minutes, you guys keeping the ball for almost 7 minutes, the Saints scoring in 9 seconds, and y'all were keeping the ball for 7 minutes and 30 seconds, which is crazy. You're 100% right. The assessment that the defense they were still at the Star in Frisco possibly. They didn't make it down to AT&T Stadium. That's probably a good assessment of what happened because when a team scores in 9 seconds, man, y'all got to put up a touchdown after that. Y'all can't go down and put up a field goal. Hey man, hey man, hey man. Hey, it's all right. It's Dak is gonna be good. The Cowboys will be good. I think they're just it's much more crowded contention. Some contenders are possibly rising to the cream of the crop and being a part of that scheme that late December, early January contention of figuring out who's going to be deeply seeded into the playoffs, right? So that's what's happening right now. Speaking
The
of,
thing is,
go ahead.
the
Yeah, yeah.
Eagles lost.
I'm
The
about to say, yeah.
Giants the Giants
Giants are the
are 1-1,
Giants.
and the Commanders are 1-1. So we all
And the Commanders won. They kicked what all field goals to win. They can't seem to find in the end zone without Jaden Daniels running the ball, right? So that was. I know you hope both of them would have lost this past Sunday with the Commanders beating the Giants 21-18. And again, this was a very. I didn't watch the game at all. I watched some of the highlights, and they were very much lowlights. To be honest with you, we're talking about 9 minutes and 36 seconds. I remember 9 minutes and 36 seconds, but that was a field goal by the Washington Commanders. We're talking about 19 plays, and then you kick a field goal. You score, which is a good thing, but the Giants go down and score a touchdown following that. We're talking field goal, punt, field goal, touchdown. It is not was not a very entertaining game at all. And I don't think those teams will be good for the most part. I think out of your division, you'll have uh, the Eagles and the Cowboys fighting to see who will win that division. So you don't have to worry about the Giants or the Commanders. But the way the Eagles play and continue to play, you might not have to worry about them either. Just being real. And not to keep on the Eagles, we did talk about the fact that AJ Brown was hurt. It seems like injuries are currently the theme right now in the NFL. Number of injuries across the board. AJ Brown, like just mentioned, Tua, he's going to be out and he's going to possibly be placed on IR. We got Cooper Kupp. Again, he's going to miss extended period. Cooper Kupp with the Rams. Debo Samuels came out today. He's going to miss multiple weeks with a calf strain, right? For the 49ers. And here they already have Christian McCaffrey, who's out right now, who's having Achilles tendonitis. So a number of injuries right now in his early. Yeah, he's out too, right? So many injuries happening right now. So many reasons as to why teams won't show their midseason form, with it already being just early in the season, and that's just going to make it really, really compressed going on for the first couple weeks of this season. I think so. Yeah, man. So far, very, very good football. It's very entertaining football. I'm happy it's back. Lots of stuff to watch from Thursday all the way to Sunday, all the way to Monday. It keeps me entertained, right? Other notable victories are games that happened throughout the course of the last few days. Uh, I I guess we can talk about the 49ers right now and their loss at Minnesota, which the 49ers have not beat Minnesota in Minnesota since 1992. Such a long time that this team has had the 49ers number. This is what I'll say. I left the game. I didn't go to the game, but I left the couch from watching the game. I left it very optimistic. I thought that there were a number of good opportunities that we missed. I left knowing that we identified what could be the problem for us, and I'm happy we identified that pretty early. And the fact that we suck on third down, and we suck on third down because we don't do well on first and second down. No brainer there. That's just kind of common sense. But we also suck on third down on defense, which is concerning. I'd say. I think that on defense we have to get off the field. There were a number of times where Sam Darnold used his legs to get a fresh set of downs. That can't happen. And Sam Darnold is not Kyler Murray. Sam Darnold is not Dak Prescott. Sam Darnold is not Jalen Hurts, right? These are the Sam Darnold definitely is not Patrick Mahomes. So there's a number of quarterbacks that can really move way better, and he showed that he can move. He can move, and we can't have that. We can't have that with one of the best defenses in the league year after year. Those situations. The game started out pretty slow. I think we talked about uh, touchdown and field goal, but it was scoreless for us. Scoreless on our end, scoreless on their end for a number of possessions, and they broke the scoreless game with a field goal. And then second, we didn't score. I don't think we scored, if I'm not mistaken, almost the third quarter, close to it, maybe the second quarter. Let me double. Yeah, we didn't score when did this touchdown? Was it 4 minutes and 38 seconds left? Is that it? Uh, Touchdown. 2 minutes left in the second quarter. That's when we scored. So, man, for a team that has been very high powered in the past and high octane offense, and being able to score fast, being able to just really dial up the pressure on defenses and identify schemes early and exploit them. We just don't have it right now. We don't have it, and I think part of that is because Brandon Ayuk missed camp. Same for Trent Williams. He was very tired and fatigued. There's Brock Purdy. He's not the most athletic quarterback in terms of his upside and his arm talent. He doesn't have it like many other quarterbacks have it, and he relies a lot on timing. The receivers have to be where they need to be when they need to be there, and the defense they have to move a certain way when they need to move a certain way, and he's just going to throw the ball and it's going to just end up in the breadbasket. That's what happens. But when you are off time with when your timing's not there, it just doesn't happen. So it's going to be probably some tough weeks ahead with Debo out now, with uh, Ayuk still trying to get his legs underneath him, figure some things out. We have identified the fact that Jordan Mason, he is RB1 for the time being, but Christian McCaffrey, it's hard to replace him. I don't think there's a problem right now with Brock Purdy, but he's going to have to show that he's going to be worth the money that we plan to pay him at the end of this year. So now is the time to show it. If you have any kind of talent to be paid 100 something million, now is the time, my boy. Now is the time. Please, 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 please prove everybody wrong because people think you shouldn't be in the NFL right now. So prove everybody wrong just for me. Another 100-yard game. Another 100-yard game. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah. He,
isn't available
yeah, it's tough.
at the moment. So
Yeah.
now you're looking at Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah. And Mike Conley as well. Who's the number three now? Mike. I say Chris Conley. I say Mike Conley. I'm talking about basketball now. I'm talking about.
Who's gonna step up? The same way with the Cowboys, as losing Mike. Who's gonna step up to take over when this person is gone? So we saw somebody step up and run it. We saw somebody step up. Who's gonna step up and receiver to take over? Where Brandon Ayuk is not 100%.
Yeah, he was pretty
Receiver.
decent. Yeah, and he caught yeah, he was pretty decent. 110 yards receiving. George Kittle did pretty good. Seven for 76, one tud. So I mean, the Stars did what they needed to do, except for IU. Except for IU.
It's week two, so
What you no. What you said about that? What you said about that? Play like you getting paid.
yes.
So, yeah, hey, real talk, man. What a separation. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if anyone watched the Netflix documentary Receiver, but Justin Jefferson and Brandon. Well, Debo was on it. I thought when I saw Debo, I'm like, why didn't they show Brandon Ayuk? They should have showed Brandon Ayuk. But I know Debo. You know, he plays running back, return man sometime. Also, he plays receiver, and he is one of our stars. But with the way IU played last year, I'm thinking if they ever do a new season, it's definitely going to be Brandon Ayuk. But if they do the new season for this season, it, they might have to follow someone else because he can't get any separation at all. And maybe it's the way they're being played. I saw a lot of the Vikings just dropping back and keeping everything in front of them. I think that's up to Brock Purdy to say, hey, you can't do that and pick them apart. Maybe just take the underneath route. Maybe that's a bit of Jordan Mason not being a good receiving back in those situations. So for a check down, I know in those situations, Brock Purdy typically likes to go to juice, things like that. And he's hit him a couple times in those situations, but I'm not sure what's happening. I just need to see more footage. I need to see what's happening because we should have won the game. There were I will say three turnovers, and I'm counting the block punt as a turnover. But the block punt, Brock Purdy dropped the ball when he went to pass it, and I believe there was a ricochet interception with Juice. They won a turnover battle by one, but our turnovers were unforced. They were unforced. So those are to me count double. They count double. So yeah, they definitely won the turnover battle. So that was the 49ers Vikings. I don't know if you saw anything different. I don't think the Vikings did anything that was extremely like, man, they're just way better than us. I just think any given Sunday moment, some things we need to clean up. I need to see more strides out of Brock Purdy. I would like to see, hey, if Derek Carr can put up 44 points, I think we can put up that too. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. um, other games that happened throughout the course of the week that we want to definitely try to hit on and talk about. We can't talk about can't not talk about the defending Super Bowl champs. We can't not talk about that game. That was one of the best games of the week for me, and I am rooting heavily for Joe Burrow. I was, and I still will be whenever they do play, because I do think he is. When time comes, I need somebody. You too, probably possibly need somebody to beat Patrick Mahomes because both of our teams are from. They play in the NFC, and if our teams make it, that's a team that we might have to play. So I think we will. It's important for us to root for teams that could possibly beat them, like the Ravens and like the Cincinnati Bengals. But the Cincinnati Bengals, they came up short. Came up short yesterday. That was another very, very close game. I can't remember the score. 25 26. Yeah, 25-26 was the score. What's your thoughts on the game, Q? With the Chiefs and the Bengals. Oh, wow, boy, you a hater. You a hater. Oh, you a hater. Boy. Yeah,
whole thing that led to them getting that field goal to win the game.
yeah,
Outside of that, a couple of years ago, they played every game they played down to the wire.
yeah.
It was a great game. Both quarterbacks played to the best of their abilities. I mean, you can't play any better. Of course, referees can always play a part in any game, any moment. But when a moment is at its biggest, one person that is hard to beat, moment is at its biggest. Patrick Mahomes.
True,
He
true.
showed that. He showed that. He showed why he is the best quarterback in the league. He
That's
showed
true.
why he's the best quarterback because he's gonna. Not only is he gonna attack, he had
Yeah.
when he threw that pass.
I think you're giving them too much credit now.
He was gonna get
I think you're giving them too much credit now. Look. Here's what I think. I think it was a rookie who made the mistake. I can't remember his name right now, but at the same time, I think what happened was he super excited. You know how he tried to rise to the occasion, and what they say, piss down your leg. That's what happened, right? He tried to get there, and he can't. He was not under control when he got there. He got there on time, and then the reason he wasn't under control, he probably wanted to jump straight up and down, but he leaned forward because he just wanted to make a name for himself. And I'll tell you this: this is what I think. Had it been the receiver who impeded the defender, they wouldn't have called it. And I've seen it time and time again when the receiver jumps over the back of the defender, they don't call that. And I think that's just messed up in that situation. It's not like he tried to hit him, he actually went for the ball. It's almost the same. I don't see the difference between a receiver and the defender chicken fighting, hand fighting, and they turn their head to locate the ball, and then they use their body to shield them away from getting the ball, but their heads turn. What's the difference? What's the difference?
and I understand that too because you look at it. At the end of the day,
Chiefs on top.
who knows what if maybe he thought he would have been that way. Maybe he thought that I feel like the Packers did it.
Yeah, I think the pass was high, and I think it was he didn't try to throw it there. I think he tried to throw it to his receiver, and it just kind of floated a bit. That's why the defender had enough time to come from playing over top to to come downhill and try to make a play on the ball. I just think yeah, the pass was a bit high. I have to look at the play again and kind of really see what kind of pressure he was facing. But at the same time, I do think he tried to throw it to the receiver. It's just that it kind of sailed a bit on him, and he put too much air on it, and it gave the defender enough time to get to that spot. Got there too early, as we know how the story went. But you know, uh, they won. They won. They won. Hopefully, that's enough fire under the Bengals, so that when they face them again, they beat the dog crap out of them. Because I need them to beat the dog, especially in the playoffs. Beat the dog crap out of them. I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes come February in New Orleans. I don't want to see him.
One thing we know about the Bengals is they are a
Yeah, speaking of Burrow and Chase, Chase was a bit frustrated throughout the game. He had 5 targets, ended up with 4 catches for 35 yards. Joe Burrow, 23 of 36, 258, 2 tuds. So he had to spread the ball around as far as yardage and try to get some people into the fold. But they speaking of loss, the Chiefs they did lose Isaiah Pacheco. He's out with a fractured fibula, I believe. Right, he hurt his leg in the game. They have that undrafted rookie, I believe, who is going to probably take the rock and run the ball for them. But again, a lot of injuries early in this young NFL season, and hopefully these teams can bounce back before the competition gets much more heavy.
And I'm letting you know now.
Yeah, he runs extremely aggressive, like extremely aggressive. He is not afraid of contact, doesn't shy away from it. I saw a lot of the preseason, his hard running. So yeah, I think that's a good move if you are playing a fantasy football team and you need a running back. Maybe you drafted Christian McCaffrey and you didn't know that he was going to be out. Nobody did. Go ahead and you slept on Jordan Mason. So there you go. Pick him up. Pick up Carson. Another game this week that was surprising. What the outcome was: the Ravens versus the Raiders. 26-23. The Raiders toppled the Ravens, and again, surprising. The Ravens fall to 0-2 on the season, having lost their first 2 games, and that game started out slow as well for them. We're talking about the Raiders punt, Ravens field goal, punt, back and forth, all the way up until almost the third quarter, and it's going to be some time for them to figure out. The Ravens are a run first team, and run first meaning they ran for the quarterback quite often, and trying to get Derrick Henry together. He started out the game pretty slow, finished the game with almost 100 yards rushing, somewhere in the 80s. But it's just going to take some time for them to figure out how to get him and feed that big guy, that big beast in Derrick Henry, but still at the same time let Lamar be Lamar and let him do the things that have garnered him MVP accolades and near trips to the Super Bowl if he uh, beat the team that nobody can beat, right? But what are your thoughts on that game, Raiders versus Ravens? What are your takeaways knowing that another premier team they fall to 0-2? Oh, yeah, he's gonna feed that boy. He's gonna try his best to.
But Minshew he had to come back and show that he's still
Slinging that
starting
thing.
quarterback.
Slinging that thing.
Because last week he showed that maybe O'Connell should come back in and be the starting quarterback. But Gardner Minshew said, "No, this is my team.
Slinging that
I
thing.
will show y'all that I'm going
Yo.
to lead this team to where we need to be." Gardner
Boy.
Minshew wants to be a starter, and
Yeah.
that's what he showed this week. He showed that when you only miss eight, one of those interception, yes. But when you 30 for 38, you are on your stuff. You literally here, and then you tried to show. Last week, yeah, I wasn't in sync with my players, but this week I'll show.
Yeah, I look, here's the thing. The big losers of that game gotta be the pass defense. Got to be the pass defense for the Ravens, and it's crazy because the Ravens pass defense is like, bro, like we played them Christmas Day. It was I felt like Santa Claus dropped coal off to me in my stocking because their pass defense was crazy. It was ferocious. Humphreys, all those guys just really just put a clamp down on anything the 49ers tried to do last year. And here's we go back to the same theme. The theme of this teams have gotten better. They have gotten a lot better. Like you said, Gardner Minshew. I'm not about to write home and say the Raiders are one of the best teams in the AFC. No, no. But they do have Tay Adams. And the fact that they also drafted Brock Bowers, rookie tight end, he had 9 catches, 9 targets, I believe, 98 yards. And again, Tay busting wide open for a buck 10 plus a tud. Man, dude was slinging that thing left and right, right and left. I think that defense, that Ravens secondary, complete losers of the game. Complete. They can't allow for someone like that to just kind of pick them apart and have that type of dominating game. Right. I have to say it. I will say it, and I might bite myself in the foot by saying this. It's early, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna preface by saying this. It's early in the year, but another loser of the game. Another loser of the game. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, when playing with the lead, he's already in his time at the helm, have given up the victory, the fourth quarter victory, when he's leading by double digits 4 times already. 4 times already, right? We're talking with Dolphins in 2022, we're talking Giants, and then in 2023, we're talking Browns, and we're talking now 2024, the Raiders, right? And when you're a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, of Lamar Jackson's stature, right? You cannot let the lead go with by up by 10, right? In the fourth quarter. You have the offensive playmakers to keep the lead. You have the talented defense as well. There's no reason why if you're up by 10, you're giving up and you're losing the game to the Raiders at that. I might add. So, yeah, he to me with that secondary, definitely a loser of the game. Also, Lamar Jackson, you're a loser of the game, and I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I love his play. I think he's super talented. I don't want to bite myself in the foot. I don't want to bite myself in the foot. But again, I think he's a loser of the game. I think he, the reason why they lost is because of those two components. They got to be better. What else we have? I mean, I know we can't hit every single game that happened, but there are some other notable things to talk about. I would like, if you don't mind, to kind of dive right back into the NFC West, what they got going on with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison. There was a lot of talk going on with them. That was a NFC West on NFC West violence, but it was just a beatdown, I'd say, with the Cardinals beating the Rams 41-10. And when I looked up and saw that stat line, the little ticker that happens at the bottom of the screen, and they talked about Marvin Harrison when he had, what was that, the first quarter? Bro, bro, I say, is this? I'm like, man, Q must be playing Madden or something, because it must be Madden on the screen. Because those are Madden numbers, right? You skunking somebody like that. Um, we talking turnover on downs, touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt, touchdown. And then how, I want to know what the guy ended with. I think he ended with like a buck 40 something. I can't, let me see what he ended with as far as receiver. And we're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., what he ended with. 130. See, I gave him too much, but before receptions, 130. Four catches, two tuds, and he had 8 targets. And what's funny enough, like I said, I wanted to talk about this because Kyler Murray, he mentioned the fact that I'm not getting paid to throw him the ball. I got to spread the ball around. Well, look, damn it. When you throw him the ball, you see what the hell happens? They get you. You trying to keep a damn job, you better throw him the damn ball. Because, again, I said this when we talked about the draft a couple months back. I said, man, that team just got a bit better. And I know they still have Kyler Murray, but that team just got a bit better. And I don't know. When we see them, hopefully we have developed our identity defensively because we're coming off a very kind of iffy secondary performance with our secondary with Steve Wilks as the defensive coordinator. So I'm like, man, I hope we figure out what we need to do on defense because I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a stud, and he's proven that he is one, especially with this last week's performance. James Conner, 21 rushes, 122 on the ground, a tud himself. Man, look, I didn't expect them to beat the Rams that bad. I didn't expect it. I didn't actually thought the Rams might have made it close, possibly one at the last minute, a bunch of close games, but that was a beatdown. Kind of like y'all, but that was a beatdown. Video game numbers, man. Video game numbers. But what it does is to put the people on notice. You got to put them. You put the NFL on notice. You put other NFC West. They don't know this. I mean, I hope the 49ers are paying attention. I hope they are realizing, hey, we got to figure out what we're gonna do against this dude. We got to make Kyler Murray be Kyler Murray. We got to figure out something because we can't have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Jefferson's brother, but Justin Jefferson, 94-yard touchdown, and if he can do it on us, you best believe they're looking at how he got open. They're going to try to run some of the same schemes when we play them twice this year. So I think they're that something a performance like that against the Rams at that who's been pretty consistent, right? You're putting the NFL on notice. Like we're here. You better not take a week off when you play us. It's no resting. So yeah, that's what I think is happening with a lot of teams. Um, that's happening early in this week, early in this young season. So we can kind of brush over a few other notable games and potentially go into detail if you're interested in some of those. But I do want to touch base and just kind of talk about some of the other bigger wins that happened. Obviously, the week started out with the Buffalo and Miami game, with Buffalo dominating Miami. Clearly Buffalo is here. Miami has always been a team that start out very hot and then they falter and people figure out who they are. But Buffalo is one of those teams. They might be able to take down the Chiefs. I wanted to mention this game just because I need to find a team that can possibly take down the Chiefs. You said you I don't know you believe the Cowboys, if they make it they can take down the Chiefs. I don't think many teams can take down the Chiefs on the NFC side. I don't think they're too equipped. They're equipped enough to take down the Chiefs. That's why I'm hoping. It's almost like college football when you have the SEC. They're trying to equip their teams to beat each other. They're not concerned about any other conference. And so I'm hoping that there's some AFC team that's prepped and ready to go to take down the Chiefs when the playoff comes. And hopefully that's the Buffalo Bills. Um, so that was 31-10 game. Did you watch that game? All of it?
Yes, I actually did look into that game. Don't remember me saying that the Cowboys would beat the Chiefs. Gee, so
Yeah, it's a
when
bad boy.
somebody beating the Chiefs, to be to see it before I can believe it. But the Bills, the way they play,
Yep.
that it, they were good, but you want to know who made them?
I agree. Definitely agree.
Josh Allen is definitely proven, proven that he is a top tier quarterback. As much as we talk about him in the playoffs, and
Yep.
him not being able to to make it to that next step. Of course, most of the times he is playing Patrick Mahomes, which is kind of hard to beat in the playoffs anyway.
I would know. I would know for sure.
But yeah, he has shown that I am a top quarterback in this league, and it don't matter what receivers you give me, I'm going to work with them, and we're going to win games.
Yeah. I think that he's as talented as ever, and he's going to have a very successful season as long as he stay healthy and some of his stars that are still there remain healthy as well. But the theme of this stream and theme of week 2 and week 1 has been remain patient. But there are some teams that have to panic right now, and that is definitely uh, the Carolina Panthers. That's a team that they have to panic. They've announced already they lost to the Chargers 26-3. They announced that they will be benching their starting quarterback, their very young starting quarterback, Bryce Young, former number one pick, Bryce Young, for Andy Dalton, now seasoned veteran, now journeyman because he was a starter at one point, but now he's been a backup for quite some time, and so I think the team's gonna look better. Unfortunately they still have the same people, but I do think the maturity and veteranship of Andy Dalton, they're gonna show some life, and so they're in full panic mode. Um,
Give them a little bump, but the offensive line is still not really good.
well, we talked about this before. The offensive line is that, but at the same time, there's so much of just pre-reading where the pressure is going to come from that Andy Dalton knows, and
Exactly. That's
he
why I give them a little bump.
have a small bump, and I think he's going to be able to make some hot reads, and he's going to play smarter than and I think Bryce Young he was playing and he was getting hit obviously, but at the same time I do think he's playing a bit fearful at times because he got hit quite often. Other teams that I think might be a bit of a panic, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that's pretty much they've seen the most of that they can do. Trevor Lawrence is pretty good. He's completing maybe 50% of his passes, and you need much more from a franchise quarterback. Um, I think he got a 5-year extension, $55 million. They need to do better. They need to do more, much faster. And then I also think the Colts. You can't lose to the Packers when they lost their starting quarterback. You have that has to be a win, right? So the Colts lost to the Packers this past weekend. It was like a low scoring goal, like 18. Let me look it up real quick. 16 to 10. That's another situation. I think these are young
Anthony Richardson threw 3
three
interceptions.
picks. It's panic mode. It's panic time. That's panic for a number of teams. Where the good teams that have been good in the past have been just remain patient. You've been here before, like the Bengals and other teams. But for those teams I just mentioned, I don't know if you have other thoughts on this, but those teams I mentioned, I think they're the Giants. Oh yeah, they're dumpster fire. They're not panicking. This is normal for them. This is steady. This is a steady course for them. They're expecting to have a top 3 draft pick. So the Giants is. Did you watch Hard Knocks? Hard Knocks when they talked about Saquon and how they wanted to test the market with Saquon, and they just yo that that team they know what's coming in the spring. Uh, for the first pick of the draft, the New York Giants select. They know that's happening. So I'd be surprised if they ended up messing that up and getting the number 2 draft pick because I know they're trying to. I know they're not trying to. They have no choice but to be number 1. They're just not good. So they're at least trying because they say, you know what, we're gonna bench you, Bryce Young, bring in Andy Dalton. He's gonna win at least 3 games for us. I don't know if the Giants gonna win 2 games this year. I don't know. I don't know. The best thing they had, they traded away or they let go in the free agency. So I just don't know at this point. Um, But yeah, those are the teams I think that are in panic mode. And you think the Giants also are they're in that two, they're dumpster fire slash panic mode for sure, for sure. Um, but yeah, it's week two, man. Week two, lots of it's good. Week two's been good. Football has been fun. I'm happy it's back. Go ahead.
One game that I did want to talk
Oh
about
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
that Sunday night football. The 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 rookie of the year last year to what we thought was gonna be the rookie of the year. That game went down to the wire. Caleb Williams
Oh
missed
yeah.
two crucial comeback passes. And if you hit them, these comeback passes that the DJ Moore when you saw DJ Moore got up frustrated. And
And that's all you can ask. Yeah.
Caleb Williams, my
Hey, I have nothing to add to that because you're 100% right, man. Um, the Bears. I know Justin Fields. He's over at Pittsburgh. Like I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you. I bet he's like, I told you, right? Um, yeah, and they won this past weekend. The Pittsburgh Steelers over the Denver Broncos, which was probably exhilarating and exciting for Russell Wilson to win over Sean Payton and the Broncos. But yeah, I that was Sunday night's game. The Texans, they're going to be better this year than last year. I like teams, and my big take is like when you have these tough, hard fought games, and they figure out a way to win. Whether it's luck on the defensive end, play on the defensive end, or maybe on the offensive end, the opposing defense make a mistake and they extend the drive, and you capitalize on it. When you get later into the season, you're gonna have that. We talked about this a bit earlier before we got hopped on stream. Actually, much earlier today is December. Yeah, people will be playing very well. They'll be in mid-season form, but they will be fatigued. They'll be tired as well. They'll have ailments and injuries, all these different things that just in general it just kind of messes with you. And as an offense or as a defense, you gotta dig deep and fight through that. But at the same time, if you see that on the opposing side, you gotta capitalize on it on those sorts of things. And those games will be closer because of it. So when I see these close games early on, it just reminds me of what it's going to be later in the season, as things get much more heavy and harder as your body kind of wears itself down throughout the course of the season. So it's been good so far, though. I'm excited for Thursday. Who's the Thursday night game? Let me see. Thursday. NFL.
Patriots and the Jets.
Oh man. Oh, okay. The Jets won. The Jets won this past weekend. I know the 49ers destroyed them, but the Jets. As long as Aaron Rodgers remain healthy, that won't be a bad team. And I know Will Levis. Did you see that? What he did? Did you see what the heck this dude did? Man, what was he? I swear it must have been. I felt like he must have been playing back flag football. How he lateraled the ball. What was when that was basically the last freaking. I know it left points on the board essentially with him doing that. And it was all over TikTok, all over social media, all over the NFL highlights, with his coach just chewing him out for that very reason. But the Jets won 24-17. Aaron Rodgers, excuse me, Aaron Rodgers, he finished the game with 2 touchdowns, a buck 76, 18 of 30. You know, he's still getting a feel for everything, having torn his Achilles, and I'm surprised he didn't put up 200 something yards, but he got the victory. And at this age and at this time of the year, it's all about just getting victories and gaining confidence in that Achilles and gaining confidence with your teammates. All right. Well, it seems like that might be it for us for this stream. It's been fun to chat and talk a bit about week 2 of the NFL. Lots of good games, lots of disappointing outcomes, but lots of optimism as we go forward. And hopefully, our teams, the 49ers and the Cowboys, we can bounce back for next week. But whether or not, if we bounce back or not, we'll be here bringing you all the action, all the highlights, and the recap about week 3 of the NFL. I'm Jimmy. This is Q, right? And we're signing off with the Objective Opinion podcast. Talk to you guys later.